Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are
Propelled by Plants. Today we bring to you episode 284, Setting Intentions with the Awakening Self, Aaron Fisher.
In this episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, we talk with Aaron Fisher all about setting intentions. And before we get into that, we reflect on Aaron's moment of gratitude, and he brings up a lot of feelings from the past. It allows us to think about who we were and who we've become. That was a segue into creating a meaning around who we want to be and what we want to achieve in 2019. Setting intentions is much different than resolutions or goals. So we want to leave you with some deep thoughts and actionable tips for starting the year off with direct intentions so you can get even more successful in 2019, whatever that means to you. Please share this episode with your friends and family so that they can set intentions to thrive in this coming year.
Aaron Fisher was born with an innate passion for helping others. In his 20s, he moved to China, created a charity to facilitate schooling for kids in remote towns throughout the country. He's spoken globally at motivational business development seminars and has coached Fortune 500 companies like Yahoo and H&amp on leadership and personal development skills. In 2014, he co-founded Copper 88, a unique garment embedded with rehabilitation and health attributes. Aaron spearheads the company's research and development team driven by a core value system to help people all over the world feel and live better, healthier lives. His philanthropy includes charities like Covenant House, Future Possibility for Kids, and many other socio-empowerment projects. Aaron Fisher is also an established photographer, life coach, and is currently working on his second book titled Love Letters, with a planned release in 2019.
The Plant Trainers Podcast is free, and it will always be free. And we are so delighted to bring it to you every single week. But there's costs associated with it. For example, we have hosting fees and our time. How many hours a week do you think you put into this podcast?
I don't know, 3, 5,
So you
6,
edit it,
it
you
depends.
make images to go with it. There's lots of things that you put out there. I'm reaching out to people all the time, making sure that they're committed, making sure that the show notes are ready, making sure we have questions ready, probably 10 to 15 hours a week or per show that go into creating this podcast for you. So if we were in person, I guess we'd say right now we're holding out our tip jar. And if you look on internet, you could find some really cool little tip jars like tips. They're like hugs without the awkward body contact. Or tips. Tip me, please, so I could send my cat to Buddha school or ninja school. All these cute little things. But Patreon takes that away. Basically, what Patreon is a way for you to leave a little tip saying, hey, thanks for the amazing job you're doing. Help us cover some of those costs that come along with a podcast. And you can help tip us by going to
patreon.com/planttrainers.
And we really do appreciate everyone who has done that before. And there's some perks that go with it. So make sure you check it out.
And now for a moment of gratitude.
I'm grateful for every failure, challenge, and success that I've had in 2018 because it brought me to the point that I'm at right now.
I'm grateful for this recorded episode that everybody's going to listen to. I think it was very powerful, this message that Aaron shared with everybody, and I really think that it's one of those episodes where you need to listen to it a few times to get everything out of it, and I'm just really grateful to share it with everyone. This is cool because we don't really have people come down to the plant cave very often. I think the last episode must have been over a year ago that we had somebody down in the cave with us.
We had
I think Jamie was the last one.
with Jamie, with Celia. Dr.
We've had a
Celia.
few, absolutely, but it's
We had Reviticize.
rare. And
I think it's cool. I should take a picture.
now it's awesome, and we have Aaron with us.
I want to put
This
this
is gonna be
stuff
fun.
on social media, so let me take a picture
Sweet,
of you guys. Yeah. That way I can just keep on, because I did a little post yesterday, and then...
Yeah, we saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, because if it's not on social media, it didn't really happen, right?
Of course.
It's not real.
I'm going to keep on putting it so people know.
Okay.
We're already started. This is all live.
It's not live.
Yeah, we're on.
It's just on.
It's
We're
on. I'm going to edit it, of course, but we're on.
All right.
We're live.
Okay. Aaron Fisher, you're in the plant cave.
Oh, yeah.
How does that feel?
Feels pretty cool. I like this place. Nice
Good.
vibe.
Thanks. It needs to be redone a little bit. I took some stuff upstairs because I've been working in the office. We normally have like pictures of fruits and vegetables there that we painted together. But now it just says dream, believe, love, live, all that good stuff. So we normally start the show with a moment of gratitude. So we wanted to know if there's anything that you're grateful for today in your life that you want to share with us.
I think every day I always think about the same thing that I'm grateful for. And the one thing that I'm very grateful for every day is just this moment. To be in this moment, to have this moment, to breathe in this moment, to feel this moment, to just be alive in this moment. Because this moment will never be like the next moment. And I'm always grateful for every moment that I am blessed to have in this earth.
So how did you come to that? Like, you didn't just one day wake up and say, I got to live for this moment. Like there must have been some type of process that you went through to get yourself to that stage.
That's a good question. I think when I was younger, what happened was I took everything for granted. I expected and I thought that the world owed me things for no reason. And every time something went wrong, I would blame something else. And every time I blamed something else would go wrong. And then eventually you fall into the spiral of what's wrong with me. I'm not enough. I can't do this. I can't do that. And you just slowly just go and start seeing all the negativity until, one day I kind of hit the bottom and I'm like, okay, well, I have nothing left. But what do I have now? I have this moment. And what's this moment? This is my breath. This is my life. This is my everything. And then I'm like, okay. And then in each moment, finding ways to be grateful and finding ways to feel blessed and to be thankful. I'm like, this moment equal the next, to the point where the world never, ever owed me anything. And I don't owe the world anything. But what I do want to do in this world is I want to make a moment. I want to share. I want to serve. I want to give as much as I can. And instead of me trying to take and me trying to give, I actually found more ways to kind of be present in the moment and to be grateful for it.
That's awesome.
So I wanna talk about that for a minute, because I found myself in the first probably 30 years of my life, I've always found myself. My dad used to say that I was like born with a horseshoe up my tuchus, right?
I thought you're 29 though.
Right. So, so I think for the first 30 years of my life, like everything I wanted, I got. Everything I touched turned to gold. And not to say that it just fell into my lap, right? It wasn't like my parents gave me credit cards like we see kids with today, credit cards, go spend whatever they pay for it. It didn't work like that. I worked really hard for what I wanted, but when I had a dream or I saw a vision and I wanted it, I was able to manifest it for myself. And then when I turned 30 and I started to go through more hormonal issues after having my kids, after Adam's whole episode, I started for the first time in my life to have negativity in my life. And I probably had negativity before, but somehow I was able to overcome it. But it stuck with me more. And I got into this really big rut of, why is this happening to me? Who's responsible? What's responsible for this happening to me? And I deserve better. And I want this and I want that. And I lost the horseshoe, or maybe it was still there, but I couldn't get that feeling back. And more recently, like in the last 2-3 years, I've totally been this person where I've been saying, okay, so this is happening. What do I learn from it? How do I fix it? What opportunity do I have to build or become because of the situation that's happened? And I'm still in that state where I need to actually make an effort to think like that.
I don't think you say, how do I fix it, but how do I use it to my advantage now? And you use whatever situation it is differently than you would have before.
Yeah, but also not just waiting for other people to come and rescue me from the boat, right? Like, for example, yesterday, our central vacuum cleaner went. And I think that 10 years ago, I would have been on top of it and I would have been like, of course we're getting a new one, and I would have taken care of it. But then, maybe for the last 10 years, I probably would have waited for Adam to come home and deal with it, right? But then, and I know that this is a really, I just did it. And I know that this is a really it's tangible and it's not that meaningful, but the fact that, 8 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to just go and do it myself. I would have been crying and calling people and saying, oh my God, my vacuum cleaner broke and my kid's going to have allergies because of the cat. And I would have just gone into this huge spiral. So after a lot of talking, is that kind of where you were at? Because I think a lot of people can relate to, this is happening to me.
From what you said, I think it's really great points, because you bring up points about the past. In the past, I was like this. And because what happened in the past is not happening currently, then there must be a flaw in my current situation, my current state. But that's not true. Everything's constantly changing, evolving, just like you are. But to have the idea of I must be who I was in the past, even though everything is involved and changed in the present, will always cause a very uncomfortable disbalance of I should need to be this person, but presently it's not allowing me to be this person. So what's wrong with me because I used to be this? And then it's just like the spiral. When I was younger, what happened with me was I was in love. I had the girl of my dreams at 12 years old. People came up to me and they said, join the cool group. You can be with us. And I said, I don't really care. My world was set. I had everything I wanted. I had my love and I was content. Then something happened where she heard something from somebody and she cut me off. Her friends called me, and this was back in the day, if you remember Jenny Craig, because I was a bigger kid back in the day, and they're like, they call my house and like, hi, is Erin there? My parents would, of course, give me the phone, no caller ID. And they're like, hi, Erin, this is Jenny Craig calling. Just let you know you're really fat and you should come join us. And I'm like, what is going on? And all of a sudden, like, my whole belief system and my structure of who I am just crumbled. I spent a month crying. And then I'm like, I thought I had it all. And then that was taken. And then the question comes, who am I? Well, who am I when I'm 12? I don't know. Teacher, who am I? Erin, you're that class clown that doesn't know how to do anything. Okay. And TV, who am I? Well, if your teacher says this, then you must be a bully. Okay. Then who else am I? And then all of a sudden, I started listening to everybody. Everybody told me my identity. And then I lived in such disproportion of who I am, where I was a bully, I was rude to people, I was a class clown. I was constantly living everybody's idea of who I was. And yet internally, I was struggling, I was depressed, I was suicidal, I was bulimic. I didn't know anything. But yet at the same time, I did know everything, but I wasn't listening to myself, because when I did, I was hurt. And love hurt me. This was my idea. I was blaming things, right? When I chose to be a certain way, this happened. So if I'm a different way, then this has to be the way for society. This has to be the way to feel no pain. But one brought me to pain, and one brought me to just being numb. To live is not to survive. To live is to thrive. I was surviving, and every day. And that's what I was growing up, and listening to people and getting into fights and running away from police and doing drugs and doing all this stuff. It just kept on not filling up a void, but I kept on wanting to do more, because I'm like, I don't want to feel, I don't want to feel, I don't want to feel. And this became my mantra. I don't want to feel, I don't want to feel. Until eventually you get to the point where you just say, I don't want to live, I don't want to be here. And then you get to the point where you're like, I can't even kill myself. I'm not even good at that. And then like, you're constantly going through all this stuff, and you're like, who am I? What am I? And then all the while, there's this voice inside of you saying that you already know who you are. You've been listening to them a little too much. Start listening to yourself again. And then once you have nothing to lose, in that case, I'm like, okay, so I listen to everybody, but I'm going to start listening to myself. So I went from being expelled from my, not just my school, but from my province of education, to getting back into school, to doing night school, to doing summer school, to finishing school. I graduated. My teachers were like, how? Nobody really thought I would do it. And then I went to college, and they're like, I don't get this. I was doing assignments for people, and they were paying me money. Like, that's just an achievement. So all of a sudden my belief system flips. Now, here comes the best part. You go from one extreme, I'm nobody, to I'm the best in the world. I started thinking that I'm the best, right? You have a business? Well, I've never done your business, but I'll tell you how to do your business. Oh, I've never had that, but I know, because this is where I am. So look at that, one extreme to the next. And I started living that way, and then guess what? You start to fall in that trap where people are like, they're listening to you, but they're like, you have no credibility. You're that person that talks so much, but you haven't done so much, right? I haven't ran these companies. And I remember moving to China at the age of 22 because I got to the point where after I finished college, I started thinking about my life, and I'm like, okay, I'm 22. And if I stay here, I'll get a job, probably get married, have a kid, get a house. And I'm like, but if I'm going to live until I'm 80 and I'm 22, that's 58 years. I don't even know who I am. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm like, there has to be something more to life. Jumped on a plane, went to China. I ended up being a professor of university there because of, because I was white. Literally. They're like, oh, you speak English? You're white? We're hiring. Small city. Went into that town. And then I kind of started going into the mentality where people started feeding me a little more. Oh, you're great. You can do this. You're amazing. And like, they're just filling my ego, and my ego just got so big. And I remember like the one day where my dream job was to be a consultant, and this was about a year into China. I ended up working as a consultant for multinational companies. And I remember walking into Siemens, and I walk into this room with like some of the big wigs, and I'm like 23 at the time, and these guys are looking at me. They're like, who the hell is this kid? And I'm like, let me tell you what you guys need to do to be successful. And they're like, okay. So I did my thing. In my head, I thought I was the man. And I'm like, all right, I did it. Presentation sensation. I feel amazing. I walked out. I'm like, I've arrived. Next week, I got my feedback from them, and they literally wrote, who the hell was that? Please don't send him back again. So then I started questioning, like, well, maybe I don't know everything. And then, boom, I go back into that spiral. Numb, drinking, booze, feeding myself just horrible food constantly, sets, everything, so I couldn't feel. And it was like, it's this interesting cycle that I keep on doing. It's just like, no, I don't want to face this. I don't want to gain this awareness. Who am I? I used to be this person. Now I'm not that person. And that's the spiral that you're talking about. Because in the past, I did this. But in the present, I'm not doing this. So what's wrong with me? And I remember going down to Toronto, and the city I was born in. And I remember going to a bar. And in China, you buy beers and you give it to people. It's just part of the thing. And I remember buying these beers, and these guys were sitting around. And before I left China, everybody knew me. The bar scene is quite small in Toronto. And I started giving these beers to people. And I remember this guy looks at me and he's like, who are you? I started hyperventilating. I couldn't breathe. I started having like an anxiety attack. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Who am I? When you leave to a foreign country, you think you're on pause in this country. But this country's kept on going. So when I came back, I thought I was still the person that I was when I left, though I can be whoever I want. But that's not who I was. So then that reality kicked in with my current reality and just went boosh. And my brother, I called him. I'm like, I need you to pick me up. And he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. He goes, what's wrong? I'm like, just pick me up. Picks me up, go home. And I'm like hyperventilating, taking moments to breathe. And I'm like, okay, what just happened? Like what happened? I started thinking, I'm like, I'm not who I was in the past. And even if I was, the people in the present are not who they used to be. So who am I now? Well, I don't know. Is that a bad thing? No, that's a good thing. Because when you think you know everything, see, I went from I knew everything, which means I couldn't learn, I couldn't understand, I couldn't be present, to understanding that I'm actually back in a place where I've just kind of, in my mind, reset it. So who do you want to be? Now here's a different conversation. So every day I said, thank you for this moment. Because in this moment, I can become anything I want. Because every day I wake up knowing that I'm nothing. Not nothing like worthless. Nothing as in today is a new chance to become everything. But every day if I wake up and I'm like, but I'm already everything, then every day I find a way to become nothing. But that in the negative way. Because I take the everything and then I put my worth to it and then I become worthless. But when I become nothing, I can become everything, and then I can just be wealthy, because that's what I want to be. Not rich, wealthy. Wealthy is to give back.
So I think that heading into this brand new year, this episode is coming out January 1st. And what we really want to do is we want to start with this nothingness, right? We want to start with this clean slate and really set intentions for 2019 and say, okay, how do we find balance between that guy who's literally on the floor and can't wipe himself on the floor, and find balance between this guy whose head's so bloated that it's actually getting out of control? How do we find that balance in between, and how do we create what we want to create, whether it be wealth or prosperity or health or community. Let's talk a little bit about that, because at this time of year, everybody's making their resolutions, or they've already made their resolutions. And in 14 more days, those resolutions are going to be out the window. So instead of changing things physically in our life, let's start with the subconscious and the intentions and see what we could bring out of there.
So I like how you bring that up, because the one thing that I think is not good for people is to make resolutions. A resolutions is, I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do that. Life is not about the yes or the no's, or I'm going to do this or I won't do that. It goes back to this high school mentality as, do I go to the party? Do I not go to the party? Well, you can go for 20 minutes and then go do something else. Like, we have infinite possibilities. So if you make a resolution, then there must be an intention behind it. And with that intention, you have to add a goal, right? So to have a goal is like having a car. To have an intention is to have a direction of where you want to go in the car. So a lot of times people are like, I'm going to quit smoking. Okay, fine. Tell me more. What is your goal? What are your steps? You know, there's going to be days that you might not be able to, there might be a day that you actually go for a puff. Are you going to hate yourself? Are you going to give up? Or are you going to be like, I actually planned this into it? But what is really your intention? Your intention in the goal of quitting smoking is to live healthier. Whew, bigger picture. Now we understand you want to live healthier. So now you're not actually confining yourself into, I smoke or I don't smoke. You're putting yourself in the possibility of, I actually want to live healthier. So how do I live healthier? What's my intention? Well, you can start moving to gyms, working out, eating healthier, going to groups. Now all of a sudden you've gone from the yes to the no to the possibility of everything. So I think when it comes to the new year, don't force yourself and be like, I must, I have to. But at the same time, don't put yourself in the situation of, maybe, I hope. Put yourself in the situation of, I will. Because when you put yourself in the situation of, I hope, and you don't hit it, you don't care. But if you put yourself in the situation of, I will, and you try, you have gone a lot further. The biggest problem with individuals, I find, whether it was from my consulting days or whatever, was people make goals that are so small that they actually achieve them.
And then what?
Exactly. Me and you were talking the other day. I just ran my first marathon, and that was my goal. I'm like, all right, I will do this marathon. I ran the marathon, and then I'm like, then now what?
Now what?
Because the thing is, once you've achieved something, it doesn't end. It only just begins. So in the new year, what is it? What is the intention that you want to put out in the year? What is it that you want? Are you looking to be more mindful? Are you looking to be more healthy? Are you looking to be whatever? And in that process, you'll have good days and you'll have bad days. And be able to understand and accept that this will happen in the process. That by not achieving something as fast as you thought you would doesn't make you flawed. But achieving as fast as you could doesn't make you better. It's not the destination. It's who you become in the journey towards it. That's so important.
We're taking a break from the Plant Trainers podcast to bring you this very important message. Stress is an everyday reality in our bodies. Whether it comes from physical injury, exercise, airborne toxins, UV radiation, or just the aging process, or maybe you're at work and that's stressful enough for you, the effects of stress show up in your joints, in your muscles, and in your skin, and even in your individual cells. LifeMax counters the effects of physical stress, natural aging, and cellular damage using 16 extracts that support 9 crucial areas of wellness to help you get the maximum meaningful mileage from life.
Via LifeMax supports a healthy, active lifestyle. It promotes longevity, supports cardiovascular health, regulates healthy cell division, promotes a healthy inflammatory response, really supports our immune system, and helps maintain healthy cognitive function. It helps balance our mood, supports antioxidant activity, supports our eye health, fights the outward signs of aging, provides a nutritional foundation for vital functions of the body. It does so many things. So whether you suffer from chronic inflammation, you're having surgery, or are under stress on a regular basis, you probably want to give Via LifeMax a try. We have a link to information about Via LifeMax and its amazing qualities in the show notes and at planttrainers.com/shop. Check it out there and click on the link to book a call with Shoshana so she can make sure that it's the right product for you and help you get your hands on it. And now, back to the show.
I was going to say, if we start to think about characteristics and what kind of character we want. And when people think about us, what words do they use to describe us? Or when we use words to describe us, which words are we using? That's really describing a lot more of our intention. So not I want to run a marathon in 2019, but I want to be athletic, right? Or I want to be more thoughtful. I want to be more giving. And then you can still use goals to create how you're going to get there, because you still need a plan. You can't just wake up every morning and say, I intend to be athletic today, without running shoes or a skipping rope or a gym membership or rock climbing gear, whatever it is. Is that really going to happen? But
if we say things like, I want to be healthier in 2019, isn't that too general? Because when we talk about setting goals, don't we talk about being specific so we could be on target and figure out the action steps that we could take to get to that goal?
Yes, but intentions aren't goals.
Mm-hmm.
So when you wake up in the morning, you could think about what are my intentions for today? My intentions are, when I get to the cafeteria at lunch, my intention is to choose something that I know will fuel my body. And then you could come up with examples there. Or my intention in the meeting is to show up as someone who has enough knowledge, or show up as somebody who is confident, or I want to be listening, right? I don't want to be the person speaking. I want to be the person listening today. So when you start to set those intentions, knowing what your greater goals are for life in general, you can really change your energy. It's really about energy.
I think it's very important that a goal has to have an intention. To have a goal with no intention is to have the what without the why. Why do you want to do this? If you're not fueling yourself with the why, it's like, I want to be mindful in this meeting. Why? What do you really gain from this? What do you really want from this? Why do you want to do this? Is it because other people have told you this? Or is it because something that you want to do? When you're planning, like, let's say if we bring it back to, let's say, the running and the marathon. My goal was marathon. But my intention during it was what actually fueled me to the end. I intended to just be so present in everything that I did in that marathon, and that no matter what happened, I will get it to the end. Now, that's not me taking away from my goal. I achieved it. Oh my God, did I ever achieve it? And when they always talk about in spirituality, we're like, you're not your body, you're not your mind, run a marathon. You get to that point where you're like, oh my God, I'm pleased, I'm not my body, I'm not my mind. But anyways, what I'm saying is, if you have a goal of, I want to make $100,000, that's fine. And there's actionable steps, but what's your intention along the way? Because if you don't have an intention along the way, then you know what? Maybe that goal won't happen, or maybe something will get in the way. But as long as you constantly bring up your why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Then sometimes it's not even the money that you seek at the end, but the wealth of the knowledge and the wisdom and the experience that you actually gain.
You might also lose sight of what's really important in that goal, and you might lose control of your ethics and your values. I could very easily make $100,000 and go, downtown and do a couple of sketchy things, but that's not in any way my intention. I want to do it in a way that's helping other people, in a way that is giving back to people, in a way that's setting an example for my family. So all of those are intentions of what I have in my work that I do every single day. So I think that when you've really got to know yourself a little bit more, and you've got to know who you want to be, getting back to those characteristics, who do you want to be while you're doing your things.
So it's the new year, and people are listening to us speak right now, and they're saying to themselves, okay, I didn't do a resolution, I'm not going to do it, or if I did, I'm just going to push to the side. What is my first step in developing a goal with intentions? How do I go about setting that up? What does it look like? Do I just say, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to do it, and I'm done?
I think it always breaks down to why. Why do you want to make this goal? Why do you even want to set an intention? What is it that you want in your deep down core of everything? What is your why? And if you actually sit there and you take a moment and honestly feel it in your heart, feel in your body, whatever, if it sounds cheesy or not, but and try it, and then from that trial, you'll you know what? That's where I want to go. Actually, by trying this, now it's let me to know that I want to do something else. Yes, you should set a target. Yes, you should set a goal. But throughout the goal and the target, if you truly feel that by trying to reach it, you're like, you know what? I've come this far and I feel that now I actually want to pursue something else, then you go do that. Life is a game of trial and errors, but you got to know why. Why are you doing this? Otherwise, it's just mindlessly trying everything, not knowing not why, until you get to the point where you're like, who am I? What am I? Why am I doing this, right? It brings you back to your why. So in the new year, just ask yourself why.
And not everybody's why needs to look the same. So somebody's going to have a very tangible why, and somebody's going to have a very deep and philosophical why. It's going to really look different for everybody. And there is no right or wrong as long as it's truly what you're feeling and that you're being true to yourself.
100%. I also agree when your why, you're like, if you're like, no, that why is dumb. No. It's like, stop fighting with yourself. If you really feel like that's the why, don't worry about it. Don't worry about what other people will think about you. It's like, it's the saying that goes is you're not who you think you are. You're who you think other people think you are. And so many people are so worried about how they think other people think they are that nobody's actually staring at you. And when they judge you, it's just a feeling of them judging themselves. So in the long run, when you actually take the moment to say, you know what, I'm going to do this for me, and you give yourself permission, you give other people permission to be themselves. And then all of a sudden we inspire minds, we inspire hearts. Why? Not because we wrote a book, not because we did a movie, not because we're a motivational speaker, not because we ran a marathon, because we've decided to do one of the most powerful things in this world is give ourselves permission to just be who I am and who you are.
And I think you touched on it a little bit, a really good indication of whether or not you're lost or not is when you are judging other people and you're saying, oh, that person, they never go to the gym. They say they have a membership, but they never go to the gym. Well, then turn around and say, where are you not showing up athletically in your own life? Or if you judge somebody else for the way that they're parenting a child or the way that they're spending their money, well, where are you unhappy with yourself the way you're spending your money? Where are you unhappy with your own parenting skills? And take that moment to recalibrate your own intentions. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to show up as in this world? And how do you want to create that? And why do you want to create that? And take that time to really think on that, whether you write it down, whether you meditate on it, whether you type it into your computer, whatever it is, whatever works for you. Those little pieces of where we're being really, really critical of other people is where we need to thrive in our own life, where we need more forward movement.
I think that's a very good point, because a lot of times we will judge people on things that we judge ourselves on. If you're finding yourself being very judgmental, that's fine. That's common. That's survival mode, where we're constantly scanning and judging and viewing things. But at the same time, instead of making it something that's just a statement, make it a question and ask yourself, why? Why am I thinking this way? And really break it down. If you're thinking, well, they got a membership and they're not going, and no, it's like, okay, well, that's great. So why are you thinking this? What's really going on with you? Well, maybe I didn't get my membership. Okay, why not? Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't have money. Okay, well, is it the money? Because are you spending your money on going out and drinking? And what is that giving back to you? And then it's asking, well, that's a really good question. Now, what is it in my life that's currently taking and never giving back? I smoked for 15 years. I broke up with cigarettes. I literally wrote a post saying, dear cigarettes, this relationship's not working anymore. I'm constantly giving and you're constantly taking. And every time you do give back, it's something that I don't even want. I don't think this relationship's going to work anymore. And I guess this is goodbye. And I said goodbye.
How'd they take it?
They haven't been knocking on the door since. But I started realizing that also. It's like, in the new year, honestly, take a moment and be like, what is investing in me? What is giving me life? What is making me feel great? What is it that really makes me feel alive that I'm not doing so much of? Put in your list. What's your intention? Create a goal. Take time to really discover what is flourishing, what's giving you energy, what's giving you the nutrients. You know, if you were a plant, what's giving you sunshine, what's giving you water, but what's trying to take it away? You know, and it's sometimes certain individuals we have in our life. It's not that their intention is to do this, but currently they're just not in a place. And you don't owe them anything, and they don't owe you anything. And if you need to say, hey guys, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to go work out, I'm going to go to the supermarket, I'm going to start eating healthier, I'm going to start traveling, and they don't understand, then that's just a sign that you're in a place that they're not. And sometimes you need to move away and find people that are in that place. This is the idea of growth. This is why a lot of people, even like me, in the past where I'm like, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with me. It's just the people I'm surrounding myself with are not where I need to be. They are the shade. I need to go into the sun and I need to move away. What do I want to do? I want to read books. I want to challenge myself. I want to run. I want to start a company. Okay, who in my life is doing that? Boom, boom, boom. Get those people. Who are not? Boom, boom, boom. And then move on to it and you grow. So in the new year, when you're listening to this and you wake up in that morning, take a moment and just really talk to yourself and figure it out and break down your friend's cycle, break down your eating cycle, because what you put into your body is what your body will give out. So it's like a theory that I came up with a long time ago, which was MBS. So mind, body equals spirit equals soul equals whatever you want. What you put in your mind, or what you put in your body will equal the external. So if you're eating bad and you're watching horrible TV, you're a sponge to that. So your external life, well, what happens?
Wait, define horrible TV. I'm getting worried here for a minute.
So horrible TV means like you're watching shows that are not really benefiting you in your life. Like, listen.
Or not supporting your intentions.
Let's put it for an example, and I'll bring in a grandma for it, because grandmas are very neutral. My grandmother watched too many Spanish shows. And when something went on in the building, she's like, oh, he's cheating on her, and he's having an affair. And she lived that life like it was her, because she absorbed it. That was her life. That was her idea. So it's like, if your mind is a sponge, well, what are you sponging? What are you soaking in? What do you want in your life? Because it takes 9 minutes every single day to create a new neural pathway within the brain. So for 9 minutes each day, what are you constantly doing? Because that's going to form your brain to be in a certain way. How do you want your brain to be? Who do you want to be around? How do you want to listen? To make those changes are very important, right? Why do we set intentions? Because we're creating new neural pathways. We're rewiring our brain.
So I like that. Let's call it the 9-minute rule.
Okay.
And, if you take 9 minutes a day to surround yourself with things that are going to bring you up, that are going to support your intentions and who you want to be in this year or this day or this moment, then you're already making some headway. So if you look at Plant Trainers on Facebook or on Instagram in the next 2 days, you're going to see a video, you're going to see a little bit of a worksheet that's going to help you for really easy daily tasks to start to set some intentions in your day, something that you want to set. We have a worksheet on Thursday. We have on Wednesday a video. So right now, let's give people maybe like a 3-step process into starting right now to create intention. So when they're done their bike ride or their run or driving their car, or if they're available to pull out a piece of paper right now, or just sit with themselves right now, what are the 3 steps that they should take to start to create intentions for them to really not just survive, but thrive in 2019?
So step 1 would be to find a place in your home, a place where you can be quiet and just take a moment to close your eyes and take a breath and ask yourself, what is it that you want? If you can't answer that question, that's okay. Then ask yourself the second question, what in my life is not giving me the feelings that I'm looking for? What is it that's making me feel bad? Because there's always a starting point, and to create an awareness on it is something. And then you can go into step 2. What can I do to start getting more of what I want in my life? And it can be something simple like Mondays, I will eat healthier. Tuesdays, I will go for a run. It could be every day for 9 minutes, I will listen to a motivational thing while I'm brushing my teeth, while I'm getting ready to work. And then once you start creating and understanding this list of these things, go into step 3, which is always the actionable things. Take action. Okay, I've done a week of whatever I said would. How do I feel? You have to set up daily check-in points with yourself. It's very important to check in with yourself. How was today? How did it feel? And a lot of people are like, well, talking to yourself is crazy. We're all crazy. We're all insane. That's the thing. Embrace the insanity, because we're all doing it. Because you have a voice, not just to talk to other people, but to speak to yourself, and check in that list and understand it. And then guess what? If that week it wasn't exactly what you're looking for, and that week you're like, you know what, I can make some modifications. Next week, do the same thing. And then the next week, do the same thing. And then eventually you're 52 weeks into something. You've done your 9 minutes. You've traded new neural pathways. You've given back to yourself. You're definitely going to make a difference in your life. People will notice a huge difference in who you are. You'll walk different. You'll talk different. You'll believe different, because you've really changed who you were. So these would be my 3 steps.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Everything is.
Sounds like a lot of work.
But what's the payoff?
But it sounds like a lot of work, especially for people that don't want to hear bad things about their bad habits.
Of course.
Right?
The thing is this.
But those aren't the listeners here.
No, of course not.
They're here for a reason.
We all have bad habits. And you know what? There's a lot of bad habits that we are not consciously aware of. So for the people that have these habits, no matter what, if you take these 3 steps and you start to do something, the one thing that will happen is you'll create awareness. And once that awareness grows, you're going to be like, oh no, you're going to notice something else. You're like, maybe I have a bad habit. We all have bad habits. It's just who we are. And that's fine. It's great. It's growth. It's like the whole idea is to do all these steps. It's not, this is not for Zen masters. This is for people. This is for all of us, because none of us, as I said before, none of us are normal. And when we break free of the idea of I'm normal, I just want to be normal, then we break into the possibilities of being everything. Because normality doesn't exist. But normality causes people to be insane. When all of us, we're just crazy. And crazy, the beautiful thing.
And I mean, I'm sure that there are some people out there who do feel like everything is hunky-dory and they're doing the best that they can and they're happy with that and they're thriving. And that's okay. You don't have to fix what's not broke. But for some of us, if we're getting a little bit overwhelmed by these steps, I think just sitting and thinking of what you want your intentions to be and how you want to feel in those moments, that's just rewiring everything right there without even taking action, because that in itself is action. So if these other steps have made you think, oh my gosh, how am I going to get that in? You know, just take those moments to set your intentions and think about how you want to feel, and just let your brain and subconscious do the rest.
I think that's really great, because listen, there's 3 steps. I can go to 5 steps. I can go to 20 steps. I can go to 1 step. And let me go to 1 step. Step 1. This is what I do every morning, because every day is going to be different. Every morning I wake up, I do my meditation, and I set my intention for the day. That's all they have to do. Step 1. If you know you're going to have meetings, if you know you're going to be outside, if you know you're going to have to deal with family, set an intention. Today I will be present, and I will listen. I will be patient, and just something simple. You tried it? Okay, cool. What did you learn? Next day, try something else. So no matter what, even if you just take away step 2 and 3 and you just focus on step 1, you're constantly learning. So put yourself in a situation that you're going to constantly learn, and you're going to constantly ask, well, why wasn't I patient? Why wasn't I this? Nothing wrong with you. It's just thing to learn. Sometimes if you're around your parents just know what buttons to press. But you learn and you understand. So next time, I see that they're pressing that button. You've gained awareness. So now you can actually see them kind of pressing on it. So you're like, okay, I can be a little more calmer. So first time was for 1 second, next time for 3 seconds. That's improvement. It doesn't have to be a meter stick. It can just be a millimeter at a time. But a millimeter every day for a year, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
We need to convert that into American. Anyway.
Inches.
Inches
to feet.
Inches to feet. There we go.
Aaron, thank you so much for spending time with us today. If people want to find out more about what it is that you're doing and how to follow you or reach out to you, where would you like them to go?
Currently, you can go onto my Instagram, and my Instagram is The Awakening Self, And you can also go on to the other website I have but this is more for my company, which is copper88.com. And other than that, yeah, you can just stay posted for what's going to happen in 2019. But those would be the two greatest places to actually find me.
We'll put those in our show notes at planttrainers.com. And I'm really excited to listen to the show again because I think there were so many great nuggets that you shared, great tips to help us set our intentions, be more aware in 2019, and really looking forward to it. So thank you for being here.
Thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming down into the plant. It's awesome.
That's great.
Thank you so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or any other podcast listening platforms. We appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it ensures other people will find us too. Thanks to our patrons. To become a patron, visit www.patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference. Connect and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Plant Trainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at www.planttrainers.com for awesome plant-based recipes and a list of our services. Email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so we can answer them on our upcoming Facebook Lives. We hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time, and have a healthy day.